You can watch us on YouTube at Falls Area Community Government, or Twitter at FactTV8, or Facebook by typing in Falls Area Community TV. Fact TV Government Channel, keeping government honest. You can watch us on YouTube at Falls Area Community Government, or Twitter at FactTV8, or Facebook by typing in Falls Area Community TV. Fact TV Government Channel, keeping government honest. You can watch us on YouTube at Falls Area Community Government, or Twitter at FactTV8, or Facebook by typing in Falls Area Community TV. Fact TV Government Channel, keeping government honest.
Call this meeting of the Westminster Select Board to order. If anybody would like to join the meeting, just declare so and tell us your name. Any adjustments to the agenda?
I don't have any.
Okay. The minutes of the meeting of January 13th.
I'll move that we approve the minutes as printed.
Do you have a second?
I'll second it.
Moved by Craig and seconded by Toby to approve the minutes of the meeting on January 13th. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, they're accepted. Communications and public comments? No, none yet. Okay. Moving along. Unfinished business. Town meeting, options for procedure.
So in your packet, you have two options that the clerks have created by the Department of Elections. We can keep our meeting on February 27th as an informational only, and through Australian balloting, have all the articles voted on March 2nd. Or we can have an open meeting on February 27th, 2021, and declare that the meeting will be resumed at a later date with voting on Australian ballot for town officials, BFUHS budget and River Valley Tech Center on March 2nd as usual. So those pretty much are your two options that you have. This evening, I would like to have you decide what you're going to do, where you're going to do it, and at what time you're going to do it.
And just to clarify, on option one, informational only, that would be a Zoom meeting.
That's correct, but what they're saying is that you can't have a total town meeting because there's too much need for communication, and they're feeling that folks won't be heard in their whole.
Right. But that is one of the options, but not the best option, is what you're saying.
It is, a Zoom meeting is only informational, meaning that you go on, you discuss your articles, but you don't vote on them.
Yes, I understand that.
Okay.
Mhm. And with option two, then what we're hoping is that later on we'll be able to have a meeting either outside or maybe inside, but probably outside when the weather's better and people will be able to get together in person and discuss the articles.
And does that mean that that if you did number two, that the voting would take place then as well?
The voting on all the articles except the Article 1, which is the town officials, for
Right.
the select board, and the high school budget and the River Valley Tech Center budget. Those would all be on the Australian ballot.
As usual.
Yeah.
Basically, we're going to take what we do on.
I'm just trying to think about, it's a nice idea to have the town meeting, when you can discuss things. But would there be things to discuss that hadn't already been voted on?
Yes, all of your articles that you have in your warning.
Mm-hmm.
Toby, hey, Toby, best way to explain it would be what we vote on always on Tuesday, it will still be voted on Tuesday. What we were voting on Saturday will be postponed.
Okay, so all of that would be postponed.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
That's correct.
So, but the only, okay, right. So that, for example, the budget
Mm-hmm.
will be done at that meeting,
At the later date.
at the later meeting. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure I understood it perfectly.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion that we go with number 2, because I think the select board has to do it, or is just, does the town clerk just automatically do it? Do we have to-
No, you have to declare this.
That's what I thought. So I'll make a motion that we go with number 2
Mhm.
on it.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Or Sheldon, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, anyway, Craig, moved by Craig and seconded by Sheldon, to have option 2 with a open town meeting on February 27th, in which we would declare a later date with voting. Well, let me think about this for a minute.
We still got to discuss that, but that'd be another motion.
Right, no, I understand that. I'm just reading this. So number
There should have been a comma after date, and then with voting on Australian ballot for town officials on March 2nd.
Yeah, exactly. The meeting will be resumed at a later date, which will, as Russ said, we'll make a motion for. But so let's discuss that. Do we have what do you think?
Well, we should vote on this first to make sure that that's what you want to do.
Right, and I want to find out if there's, do we have a discussion? Are we all in favor of this? Do we have any concerns, any discussion? Well, okay,
Heck of a way to do business.
yeah. That's the way it is these days. So, okay, well, if you're ready to vote on it, let's do it. All in favor of voting by Australian ballot for the town officials, the budget, and the River Valley Tech Center on March 2nd by Australian ballot, and then having an open town meeting for the rest of the articles later in the year.
Aye.
All in
Aye.
favor? Aye. Opposed? Who is that? Who is the no?
Kevin,
Oh.
There is no no's. I did not say no. I
Oh, okay.
said yes.
All right, you passes unanimously. Excellent. Okay. So we'll want to discuss the date and the time
And the venue.
and the venue. And is that set in stone, or could that change depending on?
It can change, pending, what happens with the COVID-19.
Right.
My feeling is that other towns have picked the venue outside, thinking that that's going to be probably the best solution to this. And so they declare, where approximately it's going to be. And then if things change and they can do an inside, and you want to do it inside, then they will make notice that it's changed and get it to the taxpayers.
Mhm.
But my recommendation is that we pick the Westminster Institute outside
Mhm.
for your declaration right now, and then always put a note that we'll
Mhm.
keep you posted on what's available at the time of your date. But you also need to pick a date.
Mhm. So perhaps,
Just mail out the select that they were doing. That's really what we're discussing now. So where it says in-person floor vote and that's gonna go out as a card, say reschedule for May 15th at 10 a.m. at the Institute or something like that. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep, this is a big blown up portion of it, but it's going to be a postcard type mailing.
And we really want the budget done before July 1st. So if it doesn't get passed, we got to go back to June 1st. So we got to really go back to May in order to pick a date in case the budget don't pass, and we still have time to do another one.
Yeah.
So I think, Russ, we did discuss May 15th, wasn't it?
May 8th, May 15th, I'm sorry, yes.
May 15th, it would be a Saturday. It'd probably be the earliest we could get decent warm weather, I hope,
well, I'm agreeable with that. I'd like to shoot for that.
I'd like to make a motion that we declare it for May 15th at 10 a.m. at the Institute.
Behind me.
I'll second that.
Okay, moved by Craig, seconded by Kevin, that the date of the town meeting be May 15th, 10 a.m. at the Westminster Institute. Is there any more discussion about that? Okay, let's vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, good. Well, good luck.
So the Westminster Institute would have to be added. That's not on this postcard thing.
That's what the blanks are. Yes, we'll get that in there,
Uh-huh,
and remove Bells Falls Union High School.
uh-huh.
The other item is the venue for the voting. We, with the recommendation of the clerk, would like to have it here at the town hall again.
Mhm.
And of course, absentee ballots will be mailed out upon request.
Mhm. What kind of shape will the town hall be in for that by March 2nd?
I'm hoping that it's done.
Mhm.
If it's not, it's going to be nearly done.
We should be able to pass through at any rate, right, Russ?
That's, yes,
In
Oh,
the front, out the back, same as we did the last one.
mhm.
exactly.
Okay.
And are we going to have an outside light in the back by then?
We did last time.
Oh, did we?
Yep.
Like we had to rig something up, but then,
No,
It's
no, we
already
have
been
real
done.
light for the last time, and we have them this time.
okay.
Yep.
Good.
Is the door working better?
Yes,
And I'd also like to recommend, and I can help with this too, that we really tell people that they have to ask for an absentee ballot. We talked about this. I'm afraid there'll be some people that remembered last time everyone was sent one, but it's only if you ask for an absentee ballot do you get one. Otherwise, you'll be voting in person.
and that's where this card comes in. It's very clear in this postcard that we will be mailing out to everybody.
Okay. All right, any more?
Approximately 2,300 of them.
Yeah.
So it should probably say.
I was gonna say, did we
take
mention the
place.
absentee
Okay,
balloting?
no, that's all right. It does. It's fine.
It's the last paragraph, Sheldon. It says absentee ballots are available for the March 2nd voting by request. Please call the town clerk's office at 802-722-4091 to request an absentee ballot by mail.
You didn't give me the card, so I can't read it, but I'll take your word for it.
Okay,
Okay, anything else on that? Let's go to town meeting articles and who's doing the explaining.
now that you've pushed it back, this is not a urgent matter, but
Okay.
if someone feels very strongly about an article, then please, by all means, grab what you want.
Mhm,
But again, the pressure's off.
mhm. So do we want to table that till later?
We
I think
can
that's
if
a
you
good
want to.
idea.
Okay, let's do that then. Tabling B, half-year financials, quarterlies, questions.
That was from the last meeting, that I gave you the quarterlies, and if there was any questions, any more questions, you guys had a couple, but.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me, but my question was about, we talked about this, the computer contract. Why have we spent so much already? Have we looked
Yep.
into that?
I did not.
Uh-huh.
I can get that to you.
Can we have that at the next meeting?
I surely can.
Thank you. Do you want a little more time to look at those, everybody, or do you have questions?
I don't know if this is a good time to bring it up or not. I'm wondering, I asked Russell about it. Basically the balance of the Henwood Hill account, which started out with 37.5 and I'm kind of wondering what the balance is and if we're gonna move the money from that money that was voted by the town back into the road commit or the road foreman's budget or not. As far as the guardrails and the mirrors and so forth, because it doesn't look like it's been moved at this point.
Mhm.
It is not. And right now it's showing only 6,659.63 spent. I would have to look at that to make sure that all the expenses were in there that we incurred. But that's still leaving $30,000 left in that budget item.
Are we anticipating the need to spend any more at this point?
That would be up to you folks.
So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take out the expense for the guardrails, the mirror, and something to do with I mean, we should be paying ourselves a little something for the trucking and moving the gravel and all that. If it's gonna come out of his budget, he should get the income.
Mhm.
See what I'm saying, Russ?
Yep, I do.
All right, maybe you can meet with Chuck and kind of go over that and come back to us.
Yep.
It looks like, we got all this money to give back, but we really took it from Chuck's budget too. That was because he did it. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
This is Millie Berry. As a taxpayer, can I ask a question?
You sure can.
So we have a bridge that's going to have a lot of work done on 121 coming up. Not this year, but is the plan to leave that road as a one-way for the distant future, the near future? When you are coming from the Westminster Center side, you cannot see if there's anyone coming from the North Westminster side until you get almost to that mirror.
Mhm.
So you can see from the North Westminster side in the mirror if someone's coming from the West Center side, but not the opposite direction. So you're almost all the way down that stretch. I travel it all the time.
Mhm.
You're almost all the way down that stretch before you realize if there's someone else coming. It's not, it's my opinion only, but I don't know if anyone else travels it, but it's not a great, the mirror makes it better. The guardrails make it better. I
Mhm.
just can't imagine a lot of traffic being on that road.
Well, just to recap where I think we left it is, I mean, there are essentially two options. There's making it safer, which we did, or doing the whole shebang, taking the bank out, widening the road, making it 2-lane, which would cost more money, and also make it into sort of a major highway, which seemed to be a drawback to me. And so far we've just left it at making it relatively safe for traffic as it is today. Is that correct? Am I summarizing things correctly?
We can go back and look at it again, but obviously the winter time, but I think if we did anything else, it still would probably be the town highway unless we really went back and looked at it, a major contract or something, but it's a lot better than it was.
Right.
Oh, we could still, with the $30,000, you could still put the stoplights on it for the bridge project.
Yeah. Or
And
cut the corner back even more so you can see better. I think we need to go back and address it again. But yeah.
And the bridge
That's why I
project, is that 2 years from now, Russ? 2 years?
We're not sure. It was supposed to be this coming summer. If you read the paper today, Governor Scott has sunk some serious money into the bridge funds from the state to help with the infrastructure of the state. So I haven't heard anything different, that it's been postponed another year, but I would assume we're going to hear a lot more here in the next month to when it's going to get started.
Okay.
We've paid all of the engineering fees. on that,
We've
our
paid-
portion of it.
Yeah, okay, so that's paid out. Mhm. Okay,
And it definitely is safer. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not complaining. I don't have a problem with it. I'm just thinking into the future. That's what
right. Well, I guess we always knew there'd be a difference between, everyday traffic, what's happening now, and, what it's going to be like when that bridge is being built for a summer, essentially 3 or 4 months, right?
9 months.
Yeah, it's 5 or 6 months.
Oh.
If it's all
Yeah.
season.
Yeah. Okay,
And
well,
on the other hand, when that does happen, we gotta rent the stoplights for those 6 months. It could come out of the bridge, because the bridge is one responsible for the added traffic. It only makes sense that if we were to rent it, then we would see what we like, whether we like it or not. It'd be a good experiment to do what Sheldon's talking about.
yeah,
And if they all hate it, we could take it down, but there's no reason why we couldn't rent them for 6 months.
yeah, good point, Craig.
I definitely think you got to do something more than we've done.
Okay. So shall we revisit that when we hear more about the bridge? So you're thinking that, Russ, we'll know more in a month about what the state's going to be doing with the bridges, essentially? Is that what you're saying?
I can't imagine we won't be hearing in the next month.
Mm-hmm.
Now with this new incentive and the monies that are going to start flowing, I can't imagine that we would, being so high on the list of being done, that we aren't going to hear something very soon.
Okay. All right. Anything else on that or the financials, quarterlies? New business, animal control, Wyndham County Sheriff update.
Just an update. We have 5 towns now that are interested. It's Westminster, Putney, Dummerston, Newfane, and Wyndham. And we've been going to meetings via Zoom, of course, discussing the ins and outs, why it's necessary, why and how this would all transpire. The item that we have going for us is we just updated our animal control policy, and Putney pretty much followed ours. So Dummerston and Newfane are willing to literally adopt a plan such as that, and Wyndham had no plan. So
You mean the ordinance?
the ordinance, we need to have one ordinance for all the towns, so that the officer's not going into that one town going, oh, what's the rules here versus the other town. So again, that it's all being worked out, and it looks very positive. It's a woman. He hasn't given us the name, but she has significant experience in being an animal control officer for towns, multiple towns. And
that would be her only job?
she would have this job, and he is trying to give her another job that would keep her in our area. And he didn't tell me what it was. It's like
Right.
traffic monitor or something.
Yeah. But her primary responsibility would be
This animal control. Yes.
very good. Anything else about that?
I don't.
We'll know more later. Town land off Pine Banks update.
So for all those who don't know, we received the land back. We gave back the deposit because of the second right of way through Beechnut Lane. I've sent Larry Slayson and Samantha Snow from Salmon and Nostrum a request for their expertise on the matter. In talking with Sheldon, he had a very good point that how much would it be, and is it possible to literally relinquish that right of way that was quote unquote questionable? take it right off the docket, so that there wouldn't be any more confusion on that. And so I got to call into them or email into them requesting that, and to make sure that the right of way that is being used is documented in both our deed and the others around us, so that there isn't any confusion on right of ways and which one is the main one. So it's just an update. I will keep you in the loop. We do have 2 more people looking at it that are interested, but we definitely need to get this off the plate. It's just confusing, and it's not worth losing another deposit and possible sale.
You have to wait.
Okay, thank you. School warning.
In your packet, this is more of an FYI. It's an acceptance from you folks. Page 4 has the articles, but it's been banter back and forth between the towns, etc. Grafton has opted to put everything on Australian ballot and have an informational meeting prior to. And so that's what Mr. Breyer thought we should do is follow suit. And I didn't, but the clerks told them that's not where you were leaning. We are talking about postponing our main floor votes for later. So they sent us their articles to put on our ballot. And so this is pretty much an FYI, but I would like you to formally accept this as part of your ballot that we will be voting on March 2nd via Australian ballot.
Do we have a motion to that effect? No.
Aren't we kind of putting the apple before the horse here? I mean, we don't even know that the legislation is going to let us withdraw from is going to let the school withdraw or the town withdraw from the district we're in now. So, I mean, it seems like we're kind of jumping the gun on voting, voting officers and voting budgets and so forth. It seems like we're kind of jumping ahead, but
if they don't have this in place now, they will not be able to do the split from the merger. So they have to have this all in place, ready to go, just in case. Is how it was explained to us.
And all 3 towns have to be on board and have this, so they all have to vote on these same articles, basically, only with different numbers, of course, but.
That's correct.
But Athens and Grafton first have to vote to withdraw. They haven't had that vote yet.
They haven't? I'm not positive of that.
Oh, I thought they had not yet, but okay, I don't want to say anything I don't know anything about, so.
Haven't seen anything in paper yet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they have to have this in place, so I have no opposition to adopting that warning and putting on the ballot. I mean, if they're not allowed to withdraw, that'll be another whole mess to deal with.
On page 2, middle of the page, the text doesn't make much sense, but it's the only 2 towns who have to have votes on March 2nd are Athens and Grafton, because the withdrawal votes must take place on the same day by state law. So they have not voted this.
Right. You don't get that take place by state law, but I'm not gonna pursue it, so.
because of the deadline of the 30 days after
Oh, I
we
see.
did it.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, it's a deadline thing. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's why.
All right, I got you. Nobody wants to make a motion?
So, I guess I got another question.
Okay,
So to me, this should be on a, you're, the way I'm understanding this is that Article 1, 2, and 3, and 4 are going to be on the same card that we're going to send out as far as the town officers vote, the school budget, the Union High School budget, and the Springfield budget. Is that correct?
It's going to be on the same ballot, yes.
we're not gonna send it out. It'll be, unless you ask for an absentee ballot. Yeah, otherwise it'll be like a regular ballot.
But why are we doing it? I still, I'm confused too. I mean, we don't do it for all the other ones you just stated. We don't ever say we will accept it. Why don't they just do it?
I see what you mean.
I'm trying to keep you in the loop, Craig, because it is on your purview that you are taking full responsibility of this because they are not in legal format yet. The select board is the governing body until they actually get their vote.
Which means that
So
we're
it is
gonna
your
be stuck with
responsibility
answering
to
all the,
say
yeah.
2 thumbs
Why-
up or no.
Why would I want to have responsibility for answering to what all these articles are about? Because once we do as a select board, we are taking responsibility for it.
Well, I think they're going to have an informational, the school board is gonna have an informational meeting. That's the way I understand it.
They are.
Mhm.
So all you're doing is accepting that the ballot is part of our town ballot.
What school board? We don't have a school board. They don't have a school board. So how can they answer questions about a school board if they haven't been voted on as being a school board? As I said, I'm confused about the way this is progressing.
Well, they do have a school board. It's the Athens, Grafton, Westminster School Board.
But why didn't they put it on then? Why didn't they go to them to say, can we put it on the same ballot? We would do the same for the fire department, the school, they all do their own. I don't understand too why. I understand a little bit because there is this board that doesn't really exist. I understand that, but and all of a sudden, somebody's calling select board. I see you guys accepted it, so explain to me what Article 2 is about. I don't know why we as a select board have responsibility for it. Let them do it.
Well, then they would have to have their own election essentially. Correct? They would have to set up their own election.
That's correct. We actually were surprised that the candidates did not fill out the forms to be on the ballot.
Yeah, no, it's thinking the same thing.
We got no applications for that. So those apparently will be appointed.
I personally think that this should be, it may cost us more to do it this way as a town. But down the road, if we're going to build, if we could have any possibility of billing the school for this vote and so forth, I think this should be a separate card, for the school and not have anything to do with the town and the town business in that ballot.
That's where I'm coming from too.
I have a real bad time about, mixing the two of these. I realize it means printing another card, but if we print another card and this thing all happens, then at least we've got a leg to stand on to say, yeah, okay, we funded this whole project for you. Now, give us our money back or help us fund, and I do realize that there's money in, that comes from the school to the town, but you know, this is one more election that we're having. And I think it's very confusing at this point to have it on the same ballot card.
Yeah, I
Okay,
understand that, but
in
it's
the-
not, go ahead, sorry.
In your packet on page 1, it says that it is my understanding that Acts 43 says 9 of us should incur costs. Admittedly, I don't have a sense of how these are all going to be recovered. Did Will Setting send you something? Worst case scenario, we'll just cover it and figure it out later. And then it says, I agree with Pauline, if the ballots could be a different color and if we too can incur the cost for this vote. So
Grafton.
it is going to be its own ballot attached to ours, meaning it's just going to be part of the package.
So it'll be a separate ballot.
It will
But-
be a separate ballot,
Uh-huh.
according to this.
So why would they need our vote?
I'm not asking for a vote, Craig. I'm trying to just have you accept that it's going to be in the town's purview. It's still in the town's court right now.
Right.
Until this all comes about, one way, shape, or form, it's still in the town's court.
Well, as long as it's not on the same card, it's a separate card, I don't have a problem with it, but
I'm with Sheldon on that. As long as it's a separate card, somebody else can answer, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay. I mean, we're still running the election. It'll be our clerks and, our building and all that. So
Yeah.
it's not separate in that sense, but that's fine. If that makes you happy, a separate card would be fine with me.
I'll go with that too.
Okay,
well,
perfect.
that's what they're planning on doing, I guess, so. I just don't want it on the town's card.
Okay.
I'm happy, Sue. Okay, I'm happy.
I'm glad you're happy. Good. Okay. So what kind of a,
I don't need a vote. You just accepted it, and that's all I needed. Thank you.
That was easy.
okay. Moving along. Manager's report.
Quite a few things. The town clerk's office is upstairs right now, and it will be operating for the next couple weeks with minimal service. The whole side of that office is being renovated, and so the clerks have limited access to the vault. They can get there, a couple times in the day to grab things, or first thing in the morning, that type of thing. And the only other section, once they're done that, is to work their way through the hallway and do the area in front of the lift and the common area that is left. So they're proceeding quickly, and hopefully by March 2nd, that it will be completed, or just a small punch list left. So that's a good thing. The collaborative financial processing policy is in its final phases of the first draft. Susan has some information from Paul that she's going to get to me, so I can plug that in. And I think I'm going to need a little bit from Cynthia for NIMRIC, and then I'll send out the first draft. And a draft is a draft. It's a working process. So you see something you want to add or subtract, then yeah, we'll have 3, 4, 5 different drafts, whatever it takes to hone this in. But I'm hoping by the next meeting, you'll have this, which will be February 10th. You'll have the first draft of this policy. The complete information for the town report will be sent to the publisher tomorrow morning. That includes the front page, which you guys just made the decisions for. It looks very good. It's going to be a very nice pamphlet.
Thank Kelly for us for that.
I will. She works very hard on that, and she's very artistic with different pictures, etc. So a delinquent tax update. We have eight properties right now that are 2 years or more delinquent, and those have either broken a contract or stopped paying regular payments. And this is down significantly from previous years at this point in time. Typically, they, once it starts getting closer, people pay. And these 8 properties equates to about $44,000 in delinquent taxes. But overall, we're doing fairly well in that. Grants and aid received to date. We have received $115,429.62. We have 3 more approved for $32,260, and we have pending approval 68,000 more. So this FY 22, we should have a total of about $215,690 in grants coming in state aid.
And so that's for roads and bridges, essentially.
Roads and bridges, COVID-19. I'm looking at, we got Hartley Hill Road. We got Forest Road paybacks, both of them.
Yeah.
We have approval for Quarry Road for this year. And Better Roads, we have a road erosion inventory that needs to be done. And we also have the Better Roads Windmill Hill Road culvert replacement. That's the 68,000.
Right.
So if all goes well, we'll be tackling those in the next summer. So
I have a question.
That's it.
please.
Russell, can you put a package together for me of the grants that we've received this year?
absolutely. Yep,
Thank you.
Thank you, Russell.
no problem.
Boards and
Question.
commissions? Oh, question?
Yeah, it's Nate.
Nate, go ahead.
So Russ, those grants and aid that are coming in, some of those are refunds for projects we've already completed. What did you just say?
We finished Hartley Hill Road late in the spring, so it was actually in June. So we just got paid for them, so they will show in this year. And that was for $25,500.
Okay, so
COVID.
hold on.
I'm sorry.
So we worked on Hartley Hill. We did the work. We spent the money. We raised taxes, spent the money, expended the money to do whatever work was on Hartley Hill. Now you're getting $25,000 to go back towards that. Where's that money going to?
It offsets the costs that we have over expenditures on such as guardrail and gravels. It replenishes our gravel piles and all that we had already spent that money out of.
So
So it goes back into this year's budget, which ends July 1st, correct?
So somewhere there's a
that's
line
correct.
item we can see that there's where line items were overspent, and this money is going to come back in and offset those overspends.
On some of them, Nate, but it's a different fiscal year on some of those expenses.
This is going back to the same point, is you did a project, you raised and appropriated taxes to pay for that project. You paid the road crew, you paid for dirt, you paid for gravel, you paid for whatever. You charged people money to do that. Now you're getting money to refund some of that money that you've spent. That's our money. You spent $50,000. Let's just say, for an example, you spent $50,000 to fix a road. You used your dirt, you did the whatever. You got that money through taxation. So you spent the 50. Now you're getting $25,000. Where's the $25,000 coming back to us?
Shows it in a revenue line as revenue coming in as a grant.
Yeah, but you're gonna put. It's the same question we've had right along in the past.
Does it end up going into the town? Does it end up, which is my question, Nate, are we putting it back into the general fund, which ends up with showing a surplus at the end of the year because we haven't put the money back into the items where it was taken out of.
That's absolutely the case. That's why you always have $250,000 and $500,000 worth of surplus. Because you didn't account for that money when you spent the money.
So
But
is this,
we'll just watch for it next year, and when there's
It's
a
based
surplus
on
again,
timing of when we get paid versus when we do the job.
Mhm.
just put it back in the general fund, and next year we'll watch it and we'll make you give it back to us next year then. Because this is why you constantly have a surplus.
Mhm.
Because you're not budgeting these monies in your budget. You're just budgeting the project and then taking the reimbursement afterwards.
And, I mean, this year we gave back the 100,000, so, I mean, it's not clear exactly.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it takes away from, your line items within your road budget and so forth. If we spent all the money out and we haven't put any back, we don't have any money, we're overspending this year's budget continually, though the money's there, but it's been put it back into the general fund. So it's yeah, where you're giving some of the money back, but you're playing with money here, really.
So, I'm not sure about this, but so could there be in the next year's budget a revenue item that says this amount of money is going into the road crew budget? Because that's where we spent it from?
Almost like you went to the bank, we
Physically,
borrowed the
you
money.
have to go back.
I understand, but just where to show it.
Yeah, if you had a capital expenditure of fixing the road, and you
Right.
actually took it out, you borrowed the money, Nate's right, you gotta put it back,
Right,
you know? So it's almost like, well, we borrowed it, in this case, we borrowed it from the tax voters, but we gotta put it back to where we had asked the voters to spend it, which was to fix the guardrail or something, you know?
and how you would show that.
Yeah, it's almost like you gotta show that it came back, you borrowed it, and you gotta repay it back to that same department.
Right, as a revenue item somehow.
Right.
Into the road budget.
And maybe we can't do that, but that's what I have a problem with that we've been doing right along is why can't we put these monies if we get, like for the Henwood Hill project, which I know the money's there, all the money for the guardrail, the mirror and so forth should go back into Chuck's budget this year before July 1st, so that if he wanted to buy more guardrails for another project, he could. But at this point, he's overspent his budget because just the way things are.
Hey, Susan, it's Cynthia. Can I say something?
Go ahead.
So this has been my, like Nate said, my question right along. But typically, if you know you have a project that you're applying for a grant for, and you know that there's a possibility of you getting the money, you budget for the revenue of what you think the grant money is that you're going to get. That way you don't raise the taxes on that project. Then you plan for the project, you apply for the grant. If you don't get the grant, you don't do the project. So, and this has been my argument right along, that we're always doing it somewhat backwards. There's not a lot of pre-planning of this is the project, this is the budget, we're going to have a match of 10% or whatever that comes from the taxpayers. The rest of it's going to be grant money, and it's all laid out in your budget so that you're not constantly having this issue. But we never, there's never, it's always, well, we're not sure we're going to get the money. Well, I understand that. But if you don't get the money for the grant, then you don't do the project.
So these would be like line items under presumably the road budget. Is that how you're seeing it? For instance, it might be a Henwood Hill, 30,000 or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, part of it, you can't pull you can't be that specific because some of the monies that you're spending actually do come from your wage budgets or you're using your own equipment or that stuff. So it is part of your regular expenses, but you don't, I mean, it sounds to me like if we are able to do these projects within our own budget line items, that what we budget every year for money to spend on the roads, and we're not overspending line items like Nate just asked, is there one that we're going to look at that's way overspent and then you see the offset of the revenue coming in, then we're over budgeting our budget. Because why, if we have enough money, are we asking for grant money? You don't ask for all of the money to do these projects in your regular budget and then ask for money from another source as well. You're kind of double dipping. So I don't know where the actual issue is, if it's the budgeting side of it of the highway or, yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
Cynthia, can we do a line item specifically for that? So let's just say it's a Henwood Hill project. So for that 1 or 2 years, we would put it in, it's going to be $37,500. And then we would track the revenue coming in. So it might be split up over 2 years, but you would eventually say we paid off the 37,000 because it's one separate line item. It's not a general contract out or something like that. It's actually a specific, it might be 4 or 5 different ones, which are projects that we were going to do that we're asking for grant money for. So we're actually putting them as a separate line item.
Yeah, you can, but like I said, some of the items, the expenses are going to go through like payroll and other places where it's not as easy to designate it to that one line item.
So you'd have to estimate, you sort of have to guess.
Yeah, I mean,
project would be in-house and how much would be.
I have a question for Cynthia, Susan, when you get a chance.
Go to it, Sheldon.
Is there, Cynthia, in the way the town processes and uses money and so forth, is there any reason, as in the Henwood Hill project, that money that we got can't be, even though it's considered revenue, can that revenue be put back into the road budget where it's been spent out of, as long as it's in, let's say, this fiscal year? Can it be put back, or does that become a bookkeeping nightmare for the town and it just has to go back into the general fund because that's the easiest way to do it?
well, I think this goes back to the whole thing I said last time. If you broke out your highway budget from your town budget, it would be easier to keep that money within that road budget. So I mean, technically, when you bring the money in against an expense in one fiscal year, it's general fund surplus if you decide to use it for the highway. I mean, I'm assuming you can, but it would be much cleaner if the highway budget was completely broken out. But it all starts with the planning of these projects. I mean, I know over the summer, I kind of hammered on something about the grants we were getting for this project. And I just feel like it's the pre-planning that helps you know where things are going to go in your financial statements. So when you have a project, you have a total budget for that project, then you list your funding sources for the expenses for that project, and then you can build your budget from that. But we don't have that when we have a project. You have estimates, you kind of know what it might cost, but we never, in the last few projects we've had, that's not what we do.
But you haven't answered my question, if in a sense, and I.
Yeah, it goes to the general fund right now, and it's
Because
not
it goes back, but could it go back into where we took it out of, Chuck's budget, we'll say, for
You
him.
mean net the expense? So in other words, if the expense was 5,000 and you got 4,000, that now the expense only says 1,000? You can't net an expense in his budget to show that he only spent a certain amount because some of it he got back. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I think that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, no, you can't do that.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
what I thought, but that's what I was
Yeah,
getting.
if you try to do it, an auditor will pull it out of there all day long. You have to show it as a revenue.
Okay, that's was my question.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I got it. I got to it eventually. Thank you.
Thank you. Where are we? Let's see.
Boards and commissions.
Boards and commissions. Thank you, Sheldon. Boards and commissions.
I have nothing to report.
Okay.
Any movement on a new lister or not?
Not yet.
Anybody interested?
We have two that have shown interest but not pulled the trigger yet.
Mhm. Other business. Not hearing any. Date of the next meeting, February 10th. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I'm assuming we'll still be Zooming, so that'll be the date. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Don't move.
Second.
Moved by Craig, seconded by Sheldon to adjourn the meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you.